All right, so picture this. You wake up, you're the most powerful person in the world, the Roman emperor. Ultimate power, right?
Yeah.
But instead of, conquering new lands or whatever, your first thought is, how do I stay in control of myself today? How do I deal with all this stress and, well, the fact that I'm going to die someday? I mean, that was Marcus Aurelius's life every single day.
Yeah, and that's what makes him so fascinating. He had all the external power you could imagine, but he was so focused on inner strength. It's something we can all relate to, trying to be resilient no matter what life throws at us.
And that's what we're going to dig into today. You guys sent us these excerpts from Meditations, his personal journal, and it's not just some dusty old book. It's like his guide to life, leadership, dealing with annoying people, you name it. We're going to see what we can learn from him. Stuff you can actually use in your life right now.
Right, because even though Meditations was written 2,000 years ago, it's still incredibly relevant today. I mean, the world was pretty crazy back then too, and his ideas about self-control and finding peace in the chaos are timeless. It all comes from this philosophy called Stoicism, which basically says that virtue and reason are the keys to happiness.
Okay, so no boring history lectures here,
Okay,
right?
no.
We want to give you practical stuff from Aurelius' writings, things that can help you deal with your own challenges and, maybe find a bit more peace in your life. So let's start with something that was super important to Marcus Aurelius, the power of your own mind.
Yeah, that's the foundation of his whole philosophy. He believed that we can't always control what happens to us, but we can always control how we think about it and how we react to it.
And he puts it so simply, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But, it's easier said than done, right? Think about your own day. What happens when, I don't know, you get a really nasty email out of the blue or your computer crashes right before a big deadline?
It's all about that initial reaction. We tend to get frustrated, maybe even angry. But Aurelius would say the event itself isn't good or bad. It's just, an event. It's our thoughts about it, our emotions, that make it a positive or negative experience.
That makes sense. So it's not about pretending things aren't difficult. It's more about, training your mind to handle them better. He uses this analogy. It was about spilled wine in his time, but for us to be like spilling coffee all over your notes right before a meeting. You can totally freak out and let it ruin your whole day, or you can just clean it up and move on. Same event, different reaction, completely different outcome.
Right. And the cool thing is, when you realize that you have this power over your mind, you become so much more resilient. You don't feel so overwhelmed, even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart, because you have this inner control.
Okay, so we can't control everything that happens, but we can control our minds. So what should we be focusing on? What can we actually control?
For Aurelius, it all comes down to our actions and our character. He has this famous quote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." It's not about some perfect ideal, it's about what we do right now, in this moment.
Let's go back to that traffic jam example. Getting mad at the traffic or the other drivers is pointless. You can't control that. But what you can control is how you use that time. You can listen to an audiobook, or, hey, maybe catch up on a podcast, or just, practice being patient.
And if you think about it, so much of our stress comes from trying to control things we can't. When we focus on what we can control, our own actions, it's like a huge weight lifted.
It really is. And that kind of leads us to another big idea, accepting the things we can't change.
Right. And that's a really key part of Stoicism. It's about understanding that life is unpredictable. And instead of fighting it, trying to force things to go our way, we accept it. We find a way to be okay with whatever happens.
Aurelius had this beautiful way of putting it. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. The whole universe is constantly changing. So why would our lives be any different, right?
The point is, our perception really shapes our reality. When we resist change, we just create more suffering for ourselves. But when we accept it as a natural part of life, we can deal with the ups and downs a lot better.
And the text gives this example of, losing your job. It can feel like the end of the world, but Aurelius would say, hey, maybe it's a chance for something new, something better. It's not about denying the difficulty, but about choosing how you see it.
Exactly. It's about seeing the potential for growth, even in what seems like a bad situation. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means working with reality instead of against it.
Now, Marcus Aurelius also really believed in something that sounds simple, but is actually pretty hard to do all the time: integrity.
And he wasn't just talking about following rules. It's about having this inner compass that guides you no matter what other people are doing or saying. He said, just that you do the right thing, The rest doesn't matter.
He gives this example of finding a wallet with money in it. Nobody's watching, so you could easily keep it. But Aurelius would say you should try to return it because that's the right thing to do, period.
And that's what builds character, you know? Integrity is about doing the right thing, even when it's hard, even when nobody's going to give you a pat on the back for it.
It's a good reminder, especially these days when it feels like everyone's just trying to get ahead,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, our last big theme from Aurelius is maybe a bit heavier, but it's something he thought about a lot. The fact that life is short.
Yeah, he was very aware of his own mortality, but it wasn't about being morbid or depressing. It was about living with intention, not wasting time on things that don't matter. Like he said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah.
But it makes you stop and think, am I spending my time on things that are actually important to me?
It's like a wake-up call. If you knew you only had a year left to live, what would you do differently? What would you prioritize? Who would you spend time with?
And that's the point. We don't know how much time we have. So we have to make it count. Live with purpose. Do the things that matter to us. Be good to the people we care about.
So if we were to sum up Aurelius's teachings, it would be something like this. Control yourself, accept reality, live with purpose. And those aren't just like abstract ideas, they're things you can actually put into practice in your own life right now.
Exactly. Control yourself, your reactions, your thoughts. Accept reality, things change, it's okay. And live with purpose. Do what matters, because we're not here forever.
And it's amazing how relevant this stuff is, even today. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor, but we all face these same basic human challenges, you know, trying to find peace, be resilient, live a life that means something.
So after hearing all this, what stands out to you the most? Is it the idea of controlling your own mind, focusing on what you can control, accepting what you can't? Or maybe that reminder to live with purpose, because life is short?
Here's a question for you to think about. How could you use even one of these ideas to deal with something you're going through right now? It's pretty incredible how this ancient wisdom can still be so helpful today.